This podcast is brought to you by Riley the dog. Picture a dog. Any dog. There are a lot of options, right? Hard to choose just one image for your brain to settle on. Now, picture the perfect dog. One that obeys every command, that never pees in the house, never barks when you're trying to sleep or record a podcast, and never chews through a bag of groceries left on the floor and eats the whole box of high-end peanut butter protein bars you just bought. Well, that's a little more specific. And that dog you imagined? It is definitely not Riley. Kind of the opposite. The exact opposite, actually. Still, Riley the family dog is nigh on flawless when it comes to sneaking out of the backyard and romping around the neighborhood while you're not looking, defending the homestead from prissy Pomeranians and their poodle pimps out on their daily walk, and playing Jedi mind tricks on you to get you to share whatever you have on your plate. Her mixed-breed blood shows through with her German Shepherd wit that's only used to her mischievous sheepdog ends, balanced out by the hard-headed loyalty and love known only to the purest of mutts. Riley the family dog. She may not be perfect, but she loves us and she's ours, for better or for worse. And maybe it's just Jedi mind tricks, but dang it, we can't help but love her back. Welcome to Little, Middle, and Biggle. I'm your middle brother, Joshua.
I'm your little brother, Andrew.
I'm your biggle brother, Noah.
And I'm their mom. Mom!
And we are the ones who will try our best to answer the little, middle, and biggle questions we have in life. Today, we have as our first ever guest on the podcast, Mom Beggs, also known as Erica to, some people. But in what is perhaps one of the most self-serving and fatuous Mother's Day gifts ever, we decided to let her on the podcast, or really beg her to come on because she is the best conversationalist among all of us. And she will be providing us with the 3 questions today. All 3, little, middle, and biggle, just like she provided the world with little, middle, and biggle us.
Children.
Yeah, children. So, Mom, will you take us away with the little question, please?
Yes. Today's little question is thunderstorm or snowstorm?
Okay.
Ooh.
So you have to, as you have listened to all of our podcasts ever, I'm sure, because you are our number one and potentially only fan, what is your answer? Because you have to answer first, given that you asked.
Thunderstorm. Definitely. And the reasoning behind it is, first of all, you all know I don't like to be cold. And so that's, a strike against a snowstorm right there. But mostly it's because of all the sensory things that you get from a thunderstorm. You get the sight of it, and you get the sound of it, and you get the smell of it, and the feel of it, and the taste of it. So it's like all encompassing. And maybe because of where I grew up and where I've lived most of my life in the Midwest, there are just great things to sit and look at during a spring or summer thunderstorm.
Okay, I totally agree with you. But where does the taste come from?
You catch raindrops.
Oh, well, you catch snowdrops.
Well, but they don't taste the same as raindrops.
Yeah, I guess that's very true.
Yeah. I do agree with that it's a lot more exciting in the moment for a thunderstorm, in that kind of terrifying, exciting way, like roller coaster style exciting. Because thunderstorm is like, wow, this rain is really coming down. And snowstorm is just like,
For anyone who, is not in this room, Joshua just breathed into the microphone.
You can see that on the waveform.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. However, I must say, having grown up where I've grown up in the Texas Panhandle, definitely prefer snowstorms, because with thunderstorms, there's the possibility of tornadoes. And with snowstorms, there's the possibility of, missing school. Worst case scenario. So...
Missing school sounds so much less desirable nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I initially I was going to say snowstorm, absolutely. But I guess in the moment, the thunderstorm is usually more fun. It is cool to watch a snowstorm, though. I don't know. Visuals, I'd say they're both equal to me, but all other senses, thunderstorm, I guess in the moment is better. But afterwards, absolutely snow, because then you get to go play in the snow, which is awesome.
See, I'm going to anticipate Mom's response here, but I think that, Mom, you would believe that the exact opposite is true, that thunderstorms are way better afterwards, because I've heard you complain so many times about how in Kansas, the snow would just stick around forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very true. And also, just after a thunderstorm, things usually sometimes there's damage from, the wind that goes along with thunderstorms, but usually things look rinsed off and fresh and you can splash through the puddles.
Mm-hmm.
And often there's a rainbow. And with snowstorms, the snow just gets dirtier and dirtier and crunchier and harder and blah.
Yeah, and it gets to the point after a couple of weeks of the snow sitting there, which I've only experienced like twice in my life because we live in Amarillo. But the snow becomes much less fun when it is black.
So does that mean that your answer is thunderstorm? Definitely?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. What do you like about the thunderstorm? I mean, besides the full sensory, as we had discussed.
That, and also, I could definitely sit and watch either one. But in a thunderstorm, you have lightning and rain, which are two rare things in Amarillo, instead of just one with the snowstorm.
Yeah, why don't we just have... I propose a compromise. Thunder snows.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, too.
Whenever it happens, yeah. It's a rarity, but a beautiful
But you
one.
never see the lightning.
Well, yeah, you do.
That's not true.
You see it light up the snow.
Maybe my one thunder snow experience is not enough to form an opinion on this.
Yeah, with an N of 1.
Yeah.
So, Mom, quick, last follow-up question. Were you not just like, having grown up in many of the same areas where I've grown up, i.e. Amarillo, were you not kind of traumatized by growing up with tornadoes in the possibilities?
Well, when I was young growing up, there was no basement in our house. We had 2 crawl spaces that were about 3 feet by 4 feet, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So cozy.
Cozy, very cozy. Or you climbed in the bathtub. If there was enough warning, we would go across the street to our neighbors who did have a basement. The thing I remember about that is that if there's hail, it hurts your foot.
Oh.
When it hits the top of your foot. But as long as there was a basement, I was not fearful of a storm closet. I didn't feel fearful of tornadoes.
Wow.
Snowstorms, I actually felt more fearful of, just because in Southwest Kansas, when you're in a snowstorm, if you're out, you are completely blinded on a highway and you don't know even which direction you're going. So,
yeah, that sounds way less appealing.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
And with a grandpa buddy to worry about.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mom, will you jump us in with the middle question?
Yes. The middle question actually was inspired by a Big Bang Theory episode that we watched last night when Sheldon offers Penny money out of a can to pay her rent and her electric bill. But when he opens the can, first these springy fabric snakes pop out, and then he pulls out a wad of money.
Yeah, classic snakes in a peanut cane. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
From, 1910.
Yeah. Well, so that took me back to a time when someone handed me a can like that. Unfortunately, there was not a wad of money in the bottom, but it made me think of the question, when or has a stranger ever made you feel better when you've been having a bad day?
Oh, so the snakes in the can made you feel better.
I'm feeling that was not the message she was trying to convey.
Well, it certainly startled me out of my probably 3 or 4 days of constant crying that had happened before I opened the can of snakes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it legitimately did.
So
I thought since you were terrified of snakes that this was like a trauma experience.
yes, no. But the person who had me open the can of snakes, afterward, it was someone I had never met before, but afterward, he made not only my day better, but the rest of my experience where I was.
Okay. So is that your answer?
So my answer is a little more involved, just that I went to Texas, which this is like politically incorrect to say, I'm sure now. I'm sure they've changed the name, but at the time when I was probably 5th grade, I went to Texas Lions Camp for crippled children.
Wow.
Nice.
That's not a patronizing name at all.
For 2 weeks in Kerrville, Texas. And I really thought I wanted to go until I had to get on the bus to drive down there. And I told Grandma Lindy and Grandpa Betty that I did not want to go, and they left me on the bus, which it's all turned out well. But anyway, I basically made myself sick crying because I was so homesick and so anxiety ridden at that age. And I had a very sweet counselor, but she couldn't just pay attention to me. And then somebody said, well, we'll scare her into stopping crying. So they said, we might have to start an IV because you're getting dehydrated from crying so much. So that obviously didn't help either. And so they took me to the director's office of the camp, and he was the stranger that handed me the snake in the can. And then he said, how about, do you think it would help if you got to talk to your mom? And I said, yes, I do. And so he called Grandma Lindy, and I got to talk to her for maybe 5 minutes, and I felt better. And then the rest of my camp experience was fabulous, and I loved it. And
okay.
But it was a complete stranger that just did the nice little thing of breaking the ice with the snake in the can, and then just knew exactly what a 5th grade girl needed to make her homesickness go away. Okay, that's my answer.
Okay. Noah, do you have an answer yet?
So, the first time that I think the first time that I went and hung out at Dad's clinic and saw a couple patients with him, there was some guy there that was in need of a liver transplant and had some sort of liver disease going on. I'm sure Dad remembers exactly what it was, but I was kind of nervous, and so he asked the patient if I could, feel his liver, because I'd never done that before. And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever you say." And I put my hands on his belly and very nervously gently touched down. And he goes, "Blah!" and maybe just about jump out of my skin.
Yeah.
But then it made me feel way better. And not that it was a horrible day by any means. It wasn't 3 days of miserable crying or anything, but it made me a lot less nervous. So it was a nice thing to do. Which apparently the theme of this so far is strangers scaring us makes us feel better.
Yeah. Andrew, do you have an answer yet?
I don't have any specific moment, but what always made me feel awesome and just on top of the world was when we would go to the bank drive-through, and then out of the blue, without them even mentioning me or without Mom mentioning me, they would send back in the little pneumatic tube a lollipop.
Oh.
And I was like, heck yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, made me feel like I was the center of the world.
this is very vain of me, I guess. The one time that I can think of, the one specific time, I will back this up by saying, as a preface, as a very rambly preamble. So there have been a whole lot of times when I've been like out running or at the gym or something, and someone who like I kind of know because I've seen them either while out running or while at the gym. They'll be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they'll just kind of acknowledge me as a person instead of doing the usual thing when people are at the gym or out running, which is just like avert your eyes, retreat to the sweat cave, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that happens a lot. However, I cannot think of any one time that has really happened, and also it's not super specific. So the best thing that I can think of is one time I went to Marble Slab. Mom, do you know where this is going?
I do know where this is going.
So I had actually forgotten that this even happened until I started going back through my pictures to clear them out because I wanted to download more anime dubbed in Spanish to practice my Spanish from Netflix. Nice. And I didn't have enough room on my phone. That is not related to this story. So what happened when I went to Marble Slab is that I ordered my ice cream. I got my ice cream. I said bye to the nice girl at the desk. I gave her a tip. I came home. I opened up the ice cream, flipped it over. On the lid was her number.
Whoa.
And I was just like mind blown. Because like, who gives scrawny little noodle arm kid Joshua their number? Like when he's just ordered a bunch of birthday cake ice cream with sprinkles mixed in. Like I didn't even give her that good of a tip. Yeah, and so that was a huge confidence boost for me that probably lasted a good few months, which I don't know if I've ever ridden a high that long from any stranger interaction. So yeah, there's my answer.
Was this in high school?
I think this was early college, maybe sophomore year.
Did you, as you were going through your pictures, did you delete that or did you save that?
You should have called it.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this number 5 years ago at an ice cream shop that you probably hated working at because it's a soulless corporation. So, what do you say to a date? We can go get ice cream. Anyway, I honestly don't remember if I saved it or not. I remember, okay, so I was doing this all at like 5 a.m. while I was waking up, lying in bed on my phone because I just needed a few minutes to wake up, and I was like, what's something semi-productive that I can do? And so I started looking through the Japanese animes with Spanish dubs, and then got to the picture scrolling, and then it was like this whole big ordeal. So I don't really remember if I saved it or not.
I sure hope you did, because that's something that your children will want to see the picture of someday.
You always say that. I would feel so weird if Dad gave me a picture and was like, hey, this girl gave me her number on the inside of an ice cream can lid.
I can show you the letter that some girl wrote to him during a period that we weren't dating. It's in his yearbook. He saved it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Mom. How about that big old question? Big
old question. Okay. So originally I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do, since I'm invited to this podcast, I'm going to do parenting, childhood questions, like a family. But then my mind just went other places. So for a big old question, since we are living in May of 2020, when we are still living the unknown and the strange, what is something, as difficult as all of this has been, what is something or two things that have happened during this time or that are happening that you are thankful that they happened even though this is such a hard time for the entire world.
Okay, so do you mean like as a result of all the things that have been going on,
Yes.
they have happened? Okay, so it's not just things that have happened that coincidentally happened to fall in
Right.
this time.
Correct.
Okay. Would you like to go first? Or, I mean, you've already done 2 where you've had to answer first. Do you need someone else to go first?
If somebody else would love to go first, I would be happy to have somebody go first.
I mean, right now my brain's just kind of going squeeze.
Okay.
So if you could go first, that'd be great. I just didn't want to
Sure.
put you on the spot again.
No. So I think, for me, what I realized first of all was how very thankful I am for the family that we have, because, which I've always known that I'm thankful for our family, but I feel like we've kind of kept each other bolstered up during this, and not that that's something that I haven't seen before, but it just feels really good when you're kind of encased with family good mojo. And sometimes I think that we're so busy doing just what we think is the most important thing. And then we realize, oh, wow, this is just pretty cool. Now, having said that, if there had not been a pandemic / stay-at-home order, I would hope that I would have really found the appreciation for all of this in another way. But it was kind of a just plop in your lap and go. And I love that we've been able to FaceTime with Noah more. And in a strange way, I feel like we've gotten to know his girlfriend quicker because we've just had the time to do it.
Because
So-
we're familially required to FaceTime.
There you go. And then also, I think it has just been a very good reminder for me that really we are globally, one people. And there are good things that I have seen anywhere from, just helping out the stranger that didn't get the toilet paper in the grocery store to
Of which there are many.
Yes.
to the fact that I just read an article that in the last month carbon emissions have gone down 17%
Wow.
because
Woo-hoo.
of this. And I mean, that's very significant. And I feel like if people grab onto the things they've learned during this time, that going forward, even though there will be economic difficulty and there's still going to be, sickness and everything, that going forward, maybe people's paths are a little clearer.
Yeah, I hope so.
Their thinking is a little clearer.
I hope it's not just, now we can go back to our normal lives of self-absorption. Speaking of self-absorption, my answer is very self-absorbed.
Go for it.
So my awesome little light in the darkness is having people who I only talk to due to school reach out to me over text and want to talk to me. Because that just makes me feel awesome. Wow, I actually have a place in these people's lives.
That is a really cool feeling.
That's all. It is a cool feeling.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay, so you're going for the something, not the some two things?
That's correct.
Okay, that's totally fine. Noah, would you like to take it away, big old brother?
Sure. I think the biggest thing is just that it has the biggest good thing that has come from just this, this weird experience with the pandemic and everything kind of shutting down specifically is that it's not that it's given me more chances so much to just talk with people and stay in touch with them, but it is like taken away all of, like, a lot of my distractions. So like all I have is like school, and then I'm not surrounded by like all these different projects and like a class of 50 people that, all are wanting to study this, that, or the other. It's awesome to have time to do stuff like that, but like I'm still in school and I'm super busy, but it has like somehow like broken the cycle of me constantly picking up another thing to do every single moment, and just gotten me into the habit of, doing stuff like talking with you guys, or, talking with my friends, or, anything like that. And now that there's like a habit of it, even though it's, we're all like not getting to go around places, it's nice to not have my like catching up with people all just like crammed into sections throughout the year, to have it just like spread out so that I can, just talk with someone like you guys and it not be, 3 weeks since we've spoken and we get to spend a bunch of time, but then like we just catch up a whole bunch and then we don't talk again for 3 weeks. Like, it's cool to be like, okay, I know what's been going on in you guys' lives because we spoke 2 days ago or something. And so that's a nice habit to form. I think that's my favorite one. Anyways, hopefully you can edit some of that down.
I would concur with that. I think that he should edit stuff out. Yeah. No. I would concur that is a really awesome, I don't know if skill is the right word, and I don't quite know if habit is the word I would use either. It's an awesome thing to just have actual connections with so many people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. It feels to me, so I was thinking about this as you were talking, Noah. It feels to me kind of like you've had this like brick wall that or maybe brick road would be better. A brick road that you're kind of walking on. And it's got the bricks and then it's got the stuff filling in between. And suddenly everything with the pandemic and everything has just kind of like power washed away all the grout in between the bricks. And so you're forced to either fill that grout in with something new, kind of like you've been talking about with focusing your attention more on getting into contact with old friends and stuff. Either that, or you just end up bouncing along on the road, and it's a really rough ride. So it gives you the opportunity to, it kind of forces you to reform some pathways in your life,
Yeah. As usual, this is the point where Joshua takes what I've said and puts it clear and concisely and in a tenth of the time.
I would not say that was particularly clear and concise. And the whole time, I was struggling so hard not to start singing Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, okay. Even though I've literally never seen The Wizard of Oz. So, my answer to this sort of follows in with yours, Noah. But at the same time is also completely different. So, what I've really come to appreciate is that, given that my work as the translator for the local clinic, was suddenly just shut down all of a sudden, it really also forced me to develop find some new ways to fill in that huge, gaping, empty time so as to not make every day just a bumping mess that would eventually rattle me apart. So what I have really enjoyed filling that time with is, one, I've made some really great inroads to the new book that I'm working on. And I feel like I've really kind of gotten to know the characters in lieu of being able to get to interact with real people, which sounds way more pitiful when I say it out loud. But I've been able to spend kind of my social energy just imagining up new situations and new interactions with these characters, both between each other and between the world around them. However, I have not found the same filling in of time insofar as spending time with other people that you and Andrew have. mostly because all the relationships that I had formed recently in my gap year were all still pretty darn new, and they were just getting to the point where they might kind of sprout into independent organisms of their own outside of the fertile soil of our shared work at the clinic and everything. And so when suddenly the big storm of the pandemic came through and blew it all away, power washed it all away like the rat between the bricks, suddenly those relationships were just kind of left to die. So in that sense, it has been kind of the opposite experience for me for that. However, I will go one up on you two guys, and I will find a second positive thing.
Ooh.
Because now that I've had the experience of like truly drifting through a social sea of nothingness, I realize, wow, I would love to have some relationships.
Yeah, that is logical.
So extra motivation. Yeah.
We just got Joshua.
Okay.
I had like 3 different metaphors there. I had like the ocean and the plants.
Yeah.
And the grout bricks. So yeah.
I like the bricks. I have to add one little thing that selfishly, for me, at Christmas time, I have a calendar that's a year or a year and a half, and have all sorts of things written in there from, Riley's bath to vacations to graduations and everything. And at Christmas time, as I looked through that, I thought, oh my goodness, there is so much on this calendar. And
not anymore.
All of a sudden, yeah. And all of a sudden, Joshua and Andrew are both going to be gone. And, if it could just slow down a little bit. And then, yeah, suddenly not anymore. Like I was marking out trip after trip after trip. I mean, we have so many airline points to use now. But I do feel in some ways that personally for me, this has been a gift. And also being able to FaceTime with you, Noah, it's just been a gift just to have a little more of the familial time and interaction, conversation, than I would have had Joshua been, doing all of his volunteering and Andrew doing all the end of the year stuff at school. Although it just makes my gut like twist into knots when I think of how disappointing it is for him and for his friends. For me personally, just getting to share in the sadness of that is something that I'll treasure just because we got to do it together.
Yeah, so I have to say, I want to push back on saying that it is a gift in this way. I think you could maybe call it, if you wanted to kind of keep with that same ideology, you could call it like treasure buried in a pile of flaming monkey poop.
Yes, and I guess I shouldn't say, I guess maybe gift is not the right word, but I have found that even in all of the manure that, and again, it goes back to the people that it's happening with. I can feel some goodness even in the suck. Does that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a really creative metaphor for this. So it's like, whenever you have clouds and they're like dark and stormy, but then there's that lining around them that's like kind of silver, like that's like a silver lining.
Yeah,
dude.
That's it.
Noah, you are the next Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles Dickens is Polish, right?
Charles Dickens is the 5th co-star of this podcast. Mom, you're number 4. Congratulations. Yes. Anyone else have anything they want to add on that deep question? Or if anyone's thought of any little bits that they wanted to pop in right quick before we end on previous questions, now would be the time.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for letting me be part of the podcast.
Thank you for making the podcast possible by birthing us.
I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's great. Noah, anything you want to add?
Just thanks, Mom, for being our first guest. Super cool.
Yes.
This feels like we're real podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're also kind of guests in your life, but
please edit out like 93% of what I said.
No.
oh, it's fine. Usually I cut out like 3 or 4 minutes worth of ums for every episode. So, yeah. We aren't actually the smooth at talking, by the way, listeners. Well, then I will add in the credits. This podcast is created by the 3 of us, written by none of us, and edited and produced by me, Joshua. Hopefully it's also listened to and enjoyed by you, but no pressure, hey? So join us next time as we unravel more of the world's big questions, or maybe just get tangled up in them. We'll see how things go when we get there, of course. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or ideas on how we can make this podcast better, send us a message at littlemiddlebiggle@outlook.com. Love, thanks, and T-Rex hugs from all of us. We couldn't have done this without you, especially you, Mom. Say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. So we need to mention that I have at least one supporter for the one toilet paper square technique, and that is Brooks Bye. Shout out to Brooks Bye, who is my one faithful supporter. If anyone else supports me, please let me know at .edu.
Are
I'm
you
using my
seriously giving out
school
your
email
personal email?
because I want to sound official.
I'm gonna bleep all that out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
One toilet paper square for life.
You just live on the edge, man. I don't want to feel my rectum every time I wipe my butt.
You don't feel it, man.
Oh, man. It feels you.